Look at that old fossil with the hottie. The voice cut through the Saturday evening atmosphere at Sullivan's Bar in Austin, Texas. My name is Marcus Wellington, and at 52 years old, I've learned to spot trouble before it escalates. 15 years as a Navy SEAL taught me that awareness keeps you alive. 3 university students had been staring at my wife Jennifer and me from their corner table. Jennifer is 47, but her radiant smile makes people guess she's in her early 30s. Tonight, she wore her favorite green dress, her blonde hair framing her face perfectly. After 23 years of marriage, she still makes my heart skip. The loudest kid, a brunette wearing a Texas Longhorns jersey, stood up as we prepared to leave. His 2 companions flanked him like backup dancers. He probably weighed 170 pounds maximum, all attitude and no substance. Seriously, though, he announced loud enough for everyone to hear. "What's a goddess like that doing with a dinosaur like you?" I paused. Jennifer's hand tightened around mine. The bartender, Carol, looked up with obvious concern. "She probably spoon-feeds him his medicine," the second kid added. This one wore a varsity jacket from Austin High School. "Come on, beautiful. Let us show you what college men can offer." The third student, lanky with unkempt hair, stepped into our path. "Yeah, Grandpa probably needs help getting dressed." I studied these boys carefully. Soft palms, expensive sneakers, the type who'd never faced real adversity. "Right, sure, kiddo," I said with a slow nod. Jennifer recognized that tone immediately. It's the same voice I used during combat training when recruits thought they knew better. Calm, measured, dangerous. The brunette mistook my composure for weakness. "What's that supposed to mean, old man?" "Nothing whatsoever," I replied. "We're simply leaving." But I could sense them following as we headed for the exit. The energy had shifted. Carol gave an apologetic shrug, as if sorry for what her establishment was about to witness. The parking lot behind Sullivan's was poorly lit. Jennifer and I were halfway to my SUV when I heard footsteps approaching. "Hey, where do you think you're going?" The brunette's voice echoed across the asphalt. We weren't finished talking. I stopped walking. Jennifer's fingers found mine instinctively. "Problem is," the stocky kid declared, "we think your wife might prefer spending time with real men." The tall one laughed. "Yeah? Before she forgets what excitement feels like." That's when something shifted inside me. Not rage exactly, more like a switch flipping from civilian Marcus to Lieutenant Wellington. "Marcus, let's just go home," Jennifer said softly. "It's all right, darling," I replied, never breaking eye contact with the 3 students. "These boys just want to learn something." The brunette stepped closer. "Learn? What the hell are you talking about?" "It means you followed us out here because you think you're tough. So let's discover the truth." I removed my blazer, folded it carefully, and handed it to Jennifer. The movement was deliberate, practiced, like preparing for training demonstrations. "All right," I said, rolling up my sleeves. "You want to test yourselves? Let's proceed. One condition, one student at a time." They burst into laughter. The brunette cracked his knuckles and pulled out his phone to record his assumed moment of glory. "You're serious, old man? You want to fight all 3 of us?" "One at a time," I repeated. "Unless you're frightened." Young men and their pride, always their downfall. The brunette came at me first, exactly as predicted. "This is for calling us students, Grandpa," he shouted, winding up what he thought was a devastating left hook. I watched him telegraph the punch for what seemed like an eternity. In the Navy, we called it bullet time when adrenaline makes everything crystal clear. I sidestepped minimally. His fist whooshed past my cheek, carrying all his momentum forward. When he connected with nothing but air, physics took control. He stumbled forward, arms flailing. I simply stepped aside and watched him crash face first into the metal fire escape ladder attached to Sullivan's back wall. The impact sounded like a watermelon hitting pavement. "Derek!" the varsity jacket kid yelled, rushing to assist his friend. Derek slumped against the building, blood streaming from his nose, trying to comprehend what had occurred. "You broke my face," he mumbled through split lips. "You broke your own face," I replied. "I merely moved aside." The second kid, Chris, looked at me with newfound awareness. Some cockiness had evaporated, but he was still young enough to believe he could salvage this. "You got lucky with Derek," Chris said, removing his jacket. "But I was team captain in wrestling." "Congratulations," I said. Chris lunged forward in a classic takedown attempt. High school wrestling moves against someone who'd trained SEALs in close combat. I waited until he was one step away, then grabbed his extended arms and used his momentum to redirect him sideways. Basic principle. Redirect energy instead of opposing it. Chris found himself spinning in an unintended direction. He slammed sideways into the large dumpster, the impact creating a metallic ringing sound. His momentum carried his legs up and over the edge. "Help!" came his muffled voice from inside. "I'm trapped!" I peered over the rim. Chris was wedged upside down among garbage bags, his legs protruding upward, his varsity jacket tangled around his head. 15 years Navy taught me patience, boys, I said. Also taught me leverage. The third student, Kevin, was backing away rapidly. He kept glancing between his friends. Derek slumped against the wall, Chris thrashing in the dumpster, and me standing there completely composed. "This is insane," Kevin declared. "You can't just attack people?" "Attack?" I raised an eyebrow. "Son, I haven't touched either of your friends. They attacked themselves." Kevin pulled out his phone. "I'm calling campus security." "Excellent idea," I agreed. "Make sure you explain how 3 men followed a married couple into a dark parking lot and threatened them." That's when Kevin made his critical error. While talking about calling security, he was simultaneously preparing a sucker punch, thinking he could catch me off guard. But in the Navy, you develop 360-degree awareness. Peripheral vision becomes survival instinct. Kevin swung wildly. A haymaker aimed at my temple. I ducked, and his fist connected solidly with the brick wall behind me. The crack of knuckles hitting masonry echoed across the parking lot. Kevin screamed, a genuine scream of agony. He clutched his right hand against his chest, tears streaming down his face. "My hand," he wailed. "You shattered my hand." "You shattered your own hand," I explained patiently. "I ducked." "You punched a wall." By now, patrons were emerging from Sullivan's to investigate. Carol stood in the doorway, shaking her head. Several customers had their phones recording the aftermath. Derek remained against the wall, blood covering his Longhorns jersey. Chris was still inverted in the dumpster, his struggles weakening. Kevin sat on the asphalt, cradling his hand and sobbing. "Somebody call paramedics," Kevin pleaded to the growing crowd. "Already did," said a man from inside the bar. Jennifer approached and handed me my blazer. She had that expression, the one that reminded her of the Navy SEAL she'd married, not the insurance investigator who worried about retirement funds. The ambulance arrived within minutes, followed by police cars. As EMTs examined the 3 students, I could see reality dawning on their faces. They would have to explain to parents and professors how they'd been defeated by a 52-year-old man who never struck them. Officer Maria Rodriguez took our statements while her partner dealt with the students. I'd known Maria through veteran support programs at Jennifer's hospital. So, let me understand, Maria said, reviewing her notes. They followed you into the parking lot, made threats, and then injured themselves attempting to attack you. Correct, I confirmed. I used basic defensive positioning. Their momentum did the rest. The consequences extended far beyond that evening. Within days, witness videos had gone viral across social media platforms. The 3 students were identified by fellow university attendees, leading to disciplinary action, fraternity suspensions, and permanent damage to their reputations. 6 months later, Jennifer and I returned to Sullivan's for our anniversary. Carol greeted us warmly, and our booth had become something of a landmark, a place where respect was earned and lessons were learned the hard way. Sometimes the most important victories are achieved without throwing a single punch.